Classified as lethal, the research vessel Diligent Inquiry hung in orbit around the unassuming blue-green planet, its sensors humming as they collected atmospheric data. Chief Researcher Vexillera hovered over the central console. All 6 of her eyes narrowed in concentration as the chemical analysis scrolled across the screen. "Fascinating," she murmured, her voice a melodic trill that echoed through the ship's sterile laboratory. "The atmosphere contains nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and argon." She tapped a slender digit against her jawless face. How could any complex life survive in such a caustic mixture? The preliminary surface scans indicate widespread multicellular organisms, Director reported Technician Zrel, his crystalline exoskeleton glittering under the laboratory lights, including, remarkably, a dominant bipedal species with apparent technological advancement. Vexillera's antennae twitched with excitement. In her 3 centuries leading the Galactic Hazardous Substances Research Coalition, she had cataloged dangerous environments throughout 17 star systems. This planet, designated Sol 3 by the Coalition, promised to be the most fascinating yet. "Deploy the atmospheric probes," she ordered, "and prepare the long-range observation drones. If this species has evolved in such conditions, they must have remarkable adaptations." The Coalition's mandate was clear: identify, classify, and warn against substances lethal to the member species of the Galactic Concord. The 17 sentient species that formed the Concord shared remarkably similar biochemistry. All evolved on worlds with gentle conditions and stable atmospheres. This made the standardization of hazard warnings possible, but left them collectively vulnerable to similar threats. Over the following weeks, the Diligent Inquiry observed the humans of Earth with growing astonishment. The observation drones relayed footage that defied all scientific understanding. "Director, you must see this." Zrel's voice crackled over the ship's communication system, a rare breach of protocol that spoke to his agitation. Vexillera glided to the observation deck, where several researchers had gathered around the main viewing screen. On the display, a human was lifting a container to its face. "They're consuming dihydrogen monoxide," Zrel explained, his voice vibrating with disbelief. "Voluntarily. In large quantities." "That's impossible," Vexillera countered. "Dihydrogen monoxide is classified as a Class 3 hazardous substance. It corrodes metals, erodes solid stone, and causes asphyxiation when inhaled." Nevertheless, Zrel highlighted the analysis. They appear to require it for survival. "Our observations indicate the average human consumes approximately 2 to 4 liters daily." The researchers watched in stunned silence as the recording showed humans not only drinking water but swimming in it, bathing in it, even playing in falling droplets of it from the sky. "Add it to the report," Vexillera finally said, "and continue observations." But water was merely the beginning of their discoveries. In the days that followed, the research team cataloged an astonishing array of substances that the humans routinely consumed, substances that would be fatal to any Concord species. "They deliberately ingest ethanol," noted Xenobiologist Trill, her translucent membrane rippling with agitation, "a neurotoxin and cellular disruptor. They call it alcohol and use it in social gatherings." "And this," added Zrel, displaying footage of a human sprinkling white crystals on food, "is sodium chloride, a neural disruptor. They call it salt and consider it essential for flavor." "What about this substance?" Vexillera pointed to humans drinking dark liquids from containers. "It contains methylxanthine alkaloids, specifically one called caffeine, which affects their cardiovascular systems. Yet they consume it every morning." "They call it coffee," Trill explained. "They appear to be dependent on it." The list grew: capsaicin compounds that would burn through a Concord species' sensory organs, acidic fruits that would dissolve their digestive tracts, theobromine-laced confections that would stop their hearts. These humans, Vexillera concluded during the nightly research summary, are not merely surviving in a hazardous environment. They have evolved to require substances our physiology cannot tolerate. They are, by definition, living biohazards. Should we classify the entire planet as quarantined? Asked Administrative Officer Pilax, the only non-scientist aboard authorized to make policy recommendations to the Concorde. Vexillara's antennae curved thoughtfully. No, she decided. Their technological development suggests they will achieve interstellar travel within a generation. The Concorde must be prepared. We need more data. Direct contact data. The proposal to initiate first contact with a species that consumed poisons for pleasure was met with resistance from the Concorde Security Council. The debate raged for weeks before approval was reluctantly granted, with strict safety protocols. Remember, Vexillara briefed her team as they prepared the sterile contact chamber. No physical contact. Maintain atmospheric separation. All samples must be handled with Class 5 containment protocols. The transmission inviting human representatives to a meeting was carefully crafted and broadcast toward the planet's primary communication networks. To the Coalition's surprise, the humans responded within hours, expressing enthusiasm rather than fear or suspicion. The human delegation arrived in a primitive chemical propulsion vessel, wearing what appeared to be pressurized protective suits, a consideration that the Coalition found reassuring. Perhaps the humans understood their toxic nature after all. The introductions were conducted through transparent barriers, with atmosphere scrubbers working overtime to neutralize any potential contaminants. On behalf of Earth, we are honored to make first contact, said the lead human, Dr. Elena Sandoval, her voice translated through the communication system. We've brought gifts as a gesture of goodwill, examples of our culture, art, and some of our favorite foods and beverages. Alarm rippled through the Coalition team. Most generous, Vexillara responded carefully. But our species have different biochemical compositions. What nourishes you may harm us. Dr. Sandoval nodded, her facial features arranging into what the Coalition's cultural specialists interpreted as understanding. Of course, we anticipated that possibility. Perhaps you could analyze them first. We've included detailed molecular compositions. The samples were transferred through a decontamination chamber to the lab. Zrel conducted the analysis while the diplomats continued their exchange of information about their respective civilizations. His findings triggered an emergency protocol alert. Director, he communicated privately to Vexillara. Every single gift item contains substances classified as toxic, corrosive, or lethal. The beverage they call wine contains ethanol. The sweet substance, chocolate, contains theobromine. Even their artwork, bound collections of cellulose sheets they call books, will release hazardous particulates if handled without protection. Vexillara processed this information while maintaining her diplomatic posture. Fascinating cultural artifacts, she responded to the waiting humans. However, I regret that our biology prevents us from appreciating them fully. Dr. Sandoval's expression shifted. You mean they're toxic to you? When Vexillara confirmed, the human exhibited an unexpected reaction. She laughed. I'm sorry, she quickly added, noting the Coalition team's confusion. It's just, many species on our world have vastly different tolerances. What's poisonous to one is food to another. It makes sense the same would apply between worlds. As the diplomatic meeting continued, the humans casually consumed their toxic refreshments behind their side of the barrier. They drank coffee, ate chocolates, and seasoned food with sodium chloride, all while discussing complex topics of science, philosophy, and potential trade agreements. The Coalition researchers watched with a mixture of horror and fascination. How is this possible? Trill whispered to Vexillara as a human sipped a carbonated beverage containing phosphoric acid. Their internal organs should be dissolving. Evolution on a world we would classify as hostile has made them different. Vexillara replied, a new respect coloring her voice, perhaps even uniquely valuable. When the human delegation departed, promising future meetings, the research team gathered in the laboratory to revise their findings. I propose a new classification, Vexillara announced. These humans are not merely inhabitants of a hazardous world, they are death world survivors. Their biochemistry has evolved to not only tolerate but utilize substances lethal to us. The implications for medicine, for exploration of hostile environments, for toxic waste processing. Trill's membrane vibrated with excitement. Indeed, Vexillera agreed. I believe we have discovered not just a new species, but potentially the most important ally the Concord has ever encountered. She turned her gaze toward the viewscreen showing Earth rotating peacefully below. Prepare an invitation. I want to show the humans our research facility. It's time we learned exactly what these remarkable beings are capable of. The ultimate test. The Galactic Concord's primary research station orbited the gas giant Helios IV, its crystalline spires gleaming in the distant sunlight. Unlike the sterile environment of the Diligent Inquiry, the station was designed to accommodate diverse research projects, with specialized habitats for each of the Concord's 17 member species. Creating a suitable environment for humans had presented unprecedented challenges. We've reinforced the human quarters with non-reactive metals, explained Chief Engineer Kartix, his segmented body pulsing with nervous energy as he briefed Director Vexillera. The atmospheric composition matches Earth standards, though we've had to install triple redundant containment fields. And the nutrition synthesizers, Vexillera inquired. Programmed with over 4,000 human consumable compounds, Kartix confirmed, though his voice wavered, including those containing ethanol, caffeine, and various acids. I must register my formal concern about manufacturing these toxins aboard the station. Noted, Vexillera acknowledged. But remember, what is toxic to us is essential to them. We must accommodate their biology if this exchange is to succeed. The human delegation arrived with remarkably little equipment compared to what the Concord researchers had expected. Just 8 specialists, each an expert in different scientific disciplines, led again by Dr. Elena Sandoval. Your station is magnificent, Elena remarked as the humans were escorted to their quarters through sealed corridors. We're honored to be the first humans to visit a Concord facility. The honor is ours, Vexillera replied. Your species' unique adaptations present extraordinary research opportunities. Once the humans were settled, the collaborative work began. Each human specialist was paired with a Concord research team, with projects ranging from comparative biochemistry to environmental adaptation studies. Transparent barriers still separated the species, but the exchange of knowledge flowed freely. Dr. Marcus Chen, the human toxicologist, spent hours in conversation with Trill, comparing the substances each of their species considered dangerous. Wait, he said, studying the list Trill had presented. You're saying potassium is lethal to your people, even in trace amounts? Yes, Trill confirmed, her membrane shifting to a deeper blue, an indication of serious discussion. It triggers a cascade failure in our cellular structures. Even a few milligrams would be fatal without immediate treatment. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. Fascinating. For us, it's essential. Our nervous systems wouldn't function without it. What about carbon dioxide? Highly toxic, Trill replied. We have specialized scrubbers throughout the station to remove it from areas where your species breathes. But that's what we exhale with every breath, Marcus pointed out. It's a waste product of our respiratory system. The revelations continued. The Concord species required atmospheres with minimal temperature variation. More than 5 degrees in either direction could send them into systemic shock. Their water had to be purified of minerals humans needed for survival. Ultraviolet radiation, which tanned human skin, would dissolve their cellular membranes. In the station's central laboratory, Elena examined the data with growing amazement. Director Vexillera, she said, looking up from the comparative physiological charts, your people evolved in environments so controlled, so specific, that even minor variations are fatal to you. Yes, Vexillera acknowledged. The 17 Concord worlds share remarkably similar conditions: temperate climates, stable atmospheres, consistent gravity. It allowed for our civilizations to develop compatible technologies and eventually unite. And Earth? Elena asked. Is what we would classify as a death world, Vexlera explained. Extreme temperature variations, high gravity, intense radiation, atmospheric toxins, geological instability. By our standards, it should be uninhabitable. Elena smiled. Yet it's teeming with life. Life that adapted to those conditions rather than requiring perfect stability. Precisely why you're so valuable to us. Vexlera's antennae curved forward. A gesture of respect. Humans can survive conditions that would kill any Concord species within minutes. Your potential as explorers, as engineers in hazardous environments, as partners in expanding our understanding of the galaxy. Their conversation was interrupted by a blaring alarm. The station's lighting shifted to pulsing red. Emergency in Section 7, announced the automated system. Containment breach. Hazardous material release. Vexlera's body tensed. The experimental propulsion lab, she explained to Elena. They're testing a new fuel composition. The communication system crackled. Director. Zrel's voice was tight with panic. The containment field has failed. The fuel has vaporized and is spreading through the ventilation system. It contains potassium compounds and releases carbon dioxide when it burns. Evacuation protocol initiated. The automated system declared. All personnel to emergency pods. Station purge in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Elena asked, already moving toward the door. That's not enough time to evacuate everyone. The purge can't be delayed, Vexlera explained, her voice strained. Once atmospheric contamination reaches critical levels, our personnel will begin dying. The station must be vented to space and then resealed with clean atmosphere. Elena activated her communication device. Marcus, what's the situation in your section? I can see the lab from here, Marcus replied. There's a rupture in the fuel tanks. The Concord researchers are evacuating, but they're moving slowly. The exposure is already affecting them. Elena made a rapid decision. Marcus, get the human team to Section 7. Director Vexlera, can your atmospheric suits protect your people from this contamination? Temporarily, Vexlera confirmed. But we only have emergency suits at evacuation points, and many researchers are trapped in interior labs. We don't need suits, Elena stated firmly. The contaminants you're describing, potassium compounds, carbon dioxide, aren't harmful to humans. Not in the short term. Understanding dawned on Vexlera. You're suggesting. We'll get your people out, Elena confirmed. Just tell us what to do. What followed was a demonstration of human resilience that would forever change the Concord's understanding of their new allies. While the station's atmosphere became increasingly toxic to the Concord species, the human team moved freely through the contaminated sections, locating stranded researchers and helping them to evacuation points. In the propulsion lab itself, Dr. Kira Yoshida, the human engineer, worked directly with the damaged fuel system. With bare hands, a sight that horrified the watching Concord technicians, she sealed the rupture and activated the local ventilation system to direct the worst of the contamination away from evacuation routes. Marcus led a team through the research quarters, where several Concord scientists had collapsed as the toxic atmosphere penetrated their rooms. The humans carried them to safety, their stronger muscles, another adaptation to Earth's higher gravity, allowing them to move quickly even with their burdens. With less than a minute before the automated purge, the final evacuation pod departed. The humans, showing no ill effects from their exposure beyond heightened thirst and mild headaches, had saved 37 Concord researchers who would otherwise have perished. Aboard the emergency vessel, as medical teams attended to the affected Concord personnel, Vexlera approached Elena. You risked yourselves, the director observed. While our atmosphere was becoming increasingly dangerous to us, it remained breathable for you, but you couldn't have known if other toxic elements might have been present. Elena shrugged, a human gesture Vexlera was beginning to recognize as indicating acceptance. It was a calculated risk, but honestly, it's what humans do. We help when we can. Today you have done more than help, Vexillera declared, her voice carrying through the vessel's communication system. You have demonstrated that the very adaptations that make you dangerous in our environments also make you invaluable allies. 3 standard months later, the Galactic Concord formally ratified the Human Inclusion Treaty. The agreement established protocols for human assistance in hazardous environments throughout Concord space and created specialized human response teams for emergencies involving toxic contamination. In exchange, humans received access to Concord medical technology, particularly useful for treating the many chronic conditions that resulted from evolving on a death world, and star charts for regions previously unexplored due to environmental hazards. On the rebuilt research station, now featuring expanded human quarters and joint laboratories, Vexillera added the final data to her report on human physiology. In conclusion, she dictated, humans represent a unique classification in galactic biology. Their evolution on a world featuring extreme conditions has rendered them resistant to substances universally toxic to Concord species. While this requires careful protocols for direct interaction, it also makes them uniquely suited for operations in environments previously considered inaccessible. She paused, considering her final assessment. Rather than classifying humans as dangerous, the Galactic Hazardous Substances Research Coalition now recognizes them as essential partners in our mission. What we once feared as lethal, they have shown us to manage with ease, and in doing so, they have expanded our understanding of life itself. In the station's common area, specially designed with separate atmospheric zones to allow for social interaction, Elena raised a glass of wine and a toast across the transparent barrier. On the other side, Vexillera raised a container of purified mineral solution. To differences, Elena offered, and to the strength they bring when combined, Vexillera completed. Around them, humans and Concord researchers worked together, separated by necessary barriers but united in purpose, a symbol of how species from worlds that couldn't be more different had found common ground among the stars.